This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reuvers.
That's right. Time for the Weekly Scramble. My name is Chris Reuvers. By my side, his name is Mike Fratelloni with Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reuvers?
I'm good. Last night concluded the first ever Garage Logic Town Council live. Well, not live. Well, I guess technically it was a live broadcast at Tattersall over there in River Falls, Wisconsin. And you will find this shocking, and you will not believe me, and I'm prepared for that. I was asked about you last night. Really? I was. So we had a number of the Garage Logic sponsors that were in attendance. It was really cool to see people that we haven't seen in some time because, you know, we're all busy.
Yeah.
And I believe his name was Dan. It was either Dan or Daryl. I cannot remember. But he was a super nice guy. Came up, introduced himself to me. He says, big fan of the show. He says, I love the Scramble with you and Mike. Is he here? And I said, oh, actually, he's not here today because he wanted to meet you.
That's very cool.
He truly wanted to meet you.
Well, how you doing, Dan?
Yeah. Anyways, or Daryl.
Or Daryl.
So
or whatever guy you were at this.
Well, it was literally because I was late getting there because, okay, I know, again, you'll find this shocking. So Kenny's been in studio the last couple of days just because he had to come to town to come do the event last night. And, you know, Rook is here and Joe is here. And we're sitting here BSing, and I said, hey, guys, I still have about 90 minutes of editing, and I have to be on the road by 3:15 so I can get to River Falls by 4 o'clock. And, of course, none of that really resonated with them, so that's why I was a little bit late getting there, because those guys all took off, and then I still had some stuff to do here at the station.
Did Joe end up riding with Rookie?
He did.
Okay.
And I suppose you haven't heard the show yet.
I haven't heard today's show yet, yeah.
So we went into...
And I didn't hear last night's show.
We went into great detail, for those of you that are subscribers to the Town Council, we went into great detail on that.
Okay.
During it was pretty fun.
You should have put
what a beautiful space, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So you've been there before.
Yep. Out in River Falls.
And I did not know that...
Is it River Falls? Yeah.
Yes, it's River Falls. Yep. But a beautiful space. It's a renovated old Shopco that they acquired, and their food is outstanding. There were a bunch of people that stuck around and had dinner after
smart.
So anyway, what a beautiful space. But I did not know you had already been there.
So if you go, it would have been unbelievable, and you guys couldn't have done this, but if you guys could have put a video camera in Joe's car or whoever drove out there,
right,
and that would have been unbelievable to hear true Joe and Rook. Especially if Rook still had gas, because that would have been hilarious.
What I mentioned during the show yesterday, and I couldn't remember what the occasion was, but Rookie did do a video, and this was when we were still on the radio, and I think it was because we had done so many events around the time when the Super Bowl was here. And I think we were doing a live broadcast somewhere.
Okay.
So I think it was around that time, and Rookie had set up his cell phone, much like, you know, you would set it up on your dashboard for navigation. Yeah. And he set it up there to record Joe talking to him on the route to wherever wherever we were broadcasting from. And it was hilarious.
Radio magic.
Yeah. Well, and we ended up posting it to social media and whatnot. But it played out perfectly because, of course, Rook nailed it. He goes, here's what's going to happen. He's going to walk in. He's going to sit down. He's going to look over my dashboard and complain about every light that's on. And he goes, here comes the mark. So Joe, it was absolutely spot on.
So to let everybody know, I mean, I'm Mike Fratelloni, and you're Chris Reuvers, and you produce the Garage Logic, the world famous Garage Logic podcast.
Yes, sir.
And so when we're talking about Rookie, he's a character on that. I mean, he's a character, and he's a man on the podcast. And Joe Souchere and Johnny and Kenny and all these guys. But because sometimes I think people have no idea what we're talking about if they're listening to us and they don't know GL.
That's a good point.
Right?
I think it's always good to reintroduce to the audience reference points.
Yes. You know, I listened to another podcast about cigars. And they do a little bio every time they start.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's not a bad idea. And then I was thinking about writing a bio for you.
And then I would write one for you.
Yes, and then we could share our bios each time. Maybe write one sentence that we like about each other each show start.
That's getting kind of what's the word? I almost used a bad word.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't mind that.
By the way, Souchere swore on the podcast the other day.
Yes, he did.
Did anyone else notice?
I did.
Okay. I heard you say, "Oh boy," after that.
And I said, once we were done, I said, "Do you want me to leave that in?" And he said, "Yes."
Okay.
And I went, "Okay."
So he's breaking the third wall of swearing, is what it is.
I think it's not even really a rule, but I think his philosophy on that has always been
100% a rule.
Well, his philosophy has always been walk the edge. Because once you start going, and I don't want to name names, but once you start going down that role every other sentence, it loses its effect.
It is really funny because there's a very famous morning show in this market, and they have a pretty big podcast, right? And they swear a ton. Yep. And I am not a prude. I'm a swearer. I have a very basic elementary vocabulary. I'm a swearer. It's poor of me. But to hear people that never do that, it throws everything off. The whole perception of who the person is thrown off. So I kind of like the fact, his 2 swear words that he said were inconsequential to me. Right. But I was like, it was like a kid. I was like in 7th grade going, "Oh, Mr. Ciceré just swore."
It's almost like when you see your teacher.
Yep,
outside
someplace
of the school, like this isn't right.
You also work at Costco? What are you doing here?
So speaking of Joe, he did provide me a homework assignment directed at you.
A list of stuff. Okay.
Earlier today, we had a story in which the city of an activist group is coming forward to the city of Minneapolis. And it's, what was the name of the group? The name of the group is called Keep Our Streets Safe Minneapolis, or something
Makes
like that.
sense, right? We all approve of that, right?
But their objective is that they now want the city to take care of everyone's sidewalk in the city of Minneapolis. Because it's really too much of a hassle to ask a homeowner to shovel, 20 feet of sidewalk? That's just too much to ask. Yeah. So they want the city to be doing that for the entire... Anyway, so Joe's question for you is going to be, at what point will programs like this affect the likes of Fratelloni's hardware? Meaning that, you lose how many taxpayers that are now not going to need to go buy a shovel or whatever, although I would still think that people would still buy shovels. But he was wondering if that would have an impact, I guess.
Well, if city runs the way city runs, everyone will still have to do things the exact same way. Right. Because you're going to get home and your sidewalk's still not going to be shoveled. What I always find fascinating is when President Biden was talking about adding 80,000 new IRS agents. Right. Companies can't hire 8 people. How are we going to get 80,000 IRS agents? Do you think the city of Minneapolis is going to find 700 people that are wanting to go, shovel sidewalks in winter? Oh, and by the way, although it might be the world's best job because they'll keep them working during the summer, which they won't have to shovel sidewalks during the summer. So it'll be a full-time job for them that they really don't have to work. They'll only have to work like 6-7 days a year.
Well, and if you're a city-employed sidewalk shoveler, you ain't out there with a shovel that you bought at Fratelloni's. You're probably going to be in some type of machinery, right?
You would think, right? That's a very tough task because I actually believe the cities do a pretty good job. It's very, very difficult to plow around 50 cars parked on the side of the road. Right? I mean, I do see when you move to the suburbs, they do a great job, but they don't have street parking, right? There's not sidewalks. There's not people blowing the sidewalk into the street and then 20 cars on this. So, I mean, I'm giving them respect. I think it's a tough job, dangerous job, a job I sure wouldn't want to do. How would you like to say, hey, Reuvers, 9 o'clock at night, you go kiss your wife, good night, and you're going to work till 9 o'clock the next morning?
I that's not a job I would sign up for. I will grant you that. But I just think once this door is opened, now I'm just so tired of this I can't be bothered mentality with life. Yeah. Where I shouldn't be expected to blank. I shouldn't be expected to, well, this is your house. Don't you have any civic pride whatsoever?
Remind me of the Minneapolis council person. Was it Lisa Bender? No.
Yes.
Well, it was Lisa Bender.
Who did not shovel her sidewalk and then got a citation.
And kept getting fines for it. And I thought, so maybe she's the one in a past life, last time she was a council person, because I don't think she's a council person anymore.
She's in Duluth now.
She's in Duluth now, yes. Maybe she was the one saying, you know what? We should just have the city do this.
But it's
because she didn't want to do it.
Another layer of these people are just completely okay with government
doing
involved in every aspect
why don't they mow
of
your
their
yard
life?
then too? So we
That's
can keep
exactly
people,
what Joe said.
Right? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
But then they're not going to do those nice stripes. They're not going to do the back and forth. One thing I disagreed with your show on the other day.
Oh, okay.
And I don't often disagree with Joe, but they were talking about racial equity in trees.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if Joe lived in Frogtown, for example,
Okay.
and they came through and cut down every tree because they all had Dutch elm, I would be a little pissed if trees weren't planted instantaneously back in my front yard. And they weren't. Right? So, for example, I lived in St. Paul. They cut down one of my trees, this big, beautiful tree. I called them up and said, hey, what's going to happen now that you took it down? They said, you're scheduled again to be planted in 2025. And I said, wait, 4 years later? They said, well, we cut them down and then we cycle through. And I think there is something to that. I think it's, if you had, and then you read the story about surveillance being done and people were, in tougher areas, they want less tree canopy so you can see the streets. I thought, that's not good. That rubbed me the wrong way. I think the city, if they take down a tree, they should put a tree right back up.
I don't remember this story. Why did they remove the tree in the first place?
If something's wrong with the tree, they have to just prune or cull the trees, right? If they have Dutch elm or emerald ash borer, they have to get rid of trees. But then they go ahead and they should plant them that same year or very quick in the same year. But in some areas of St. Paul, they cut down trees and then they didn't come back, right?
Okay.
They didn't come back to plant the trees.
Color me naive. That's fine. But why is that the city's responsibility?
Because they took down the trees.
In your yard.
They cut down, well, because it's the boulevard trees. Right, so it's the tree that's that beautiful canopy.
Yep,
so then I'm driving through my beautiful neighborhood in St. Paul, right, that has these canopies, and I'm thinking, why do I have canopies on my block? And then I drive, south. I go over to Hamlin University, and there's a bunch of roads with no canopy trees, and I think, what's going on?
Right,
and it's not and I think it must be some kind of, hey, this area is getting the trees. The community that lives in the area that I lived in said, hey, get me a tree.
Okay.
In fact, what I did is I hired a tree company to come out and plant a new tree at my house because I didn't want to wait. Right.
Well, you want this done.
Yeah, I want a tree because I want to have it start growing. I didn't want to wait. It was going to be 4 years till a tree came in.
Okay.
And don't quote me on the exact timing.
I probably
right.
won't.
I'm not exactly right on this, but I think there's something to that. I think there's when you're driving through a depleted neighborhood with a little bit of blight, they don't have big, beautiful trees.
That's a good point.
And I think the people in that neighborhood would want big, beautiful trees. Wouldn't they want their properties to look great too?
But the problem, though, is in a lot of those areas, there's not much.
There's a sidewalk. There's a boulevard.
But grass. Is there really that much space to grow the tree?
If they took one out, there's one to wherever they took it out, there's one to put it back, right? And I just think everyone should have a nice tree for equity.
You know how for years now I have always said that there are just a couple of people that get excited when days like, what was it, on Tuesday when we get, a half a foot to 10 inches of snow on the ground. It's Mike Fratelloni.
Yep.
It's now Mike Schoonover.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Schoonover loves that kind of weather. And there's someone else that's now excited for that.
Oh.
Our buddy Dave.
Slush Busters.
With the Slush Buster. And Dave Pounds is the inventor of the Slush Buster. It was invented right here in Burnsville, Minnesota, because Dave got tired of the corrosive slush that was rusting his cars and damaging the garage floor. And the old broomstick and boot that was used to remove the slush, that just wasn't cutting it anymore. The Slush Buster is designed and assembled right here in Rogers, Minnesota, and it's the only device in the market that is specially designed to remove that slush. It will greatly reduce the slush that damages your vehicle and garage floor. You can learn more and order yours today at slushbuster.us. That's slushbuster.us. It's also available online at Amazon, but just go into one of your 21 Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Store locations, and they will take care of you. And guess who did that very thing, Mr. Fratelloni?
Who did?
Mark sent me an email.
Really?
Are you ready?
Yep.
Hey, Chris, stopped at the Fratelloni's Hardware Store in Eden Prairie Wednesday afternoon to get my Slush Buster. I was immediately met by a friendly employee who had no idea what I was talking about.
They're perfect.
He went to automotive, and I went to the shovel aisle. We couldn't find it. Then I turned around, and they were right there on the end cap.
Oh, perfect.
It works well. I'm going to enjoy this brand new tool. Thank you for the heads up, Mark.
So a little point, couple points. Incredible Christmas gift for the person who literally has everything. Now they will truly have everything.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the guy that has all the tools. But if you're going to go to Fratelloni's or Robbinsdale Ace, we don't own Robbinsdale Ace, but I know they have them at Robbinsdale Ace.
Yep.
Call ahead because these have been on fire. It is unbelievable how well they're selling.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so call ahead because we're kind of like, we're transferring them from other stores and getting more in. And so they're in our logistics set. When you start new on a fresh product like this, you don't know if it's going to sell.
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
Right,
So,
yep.
we ordered like 22 stores worth times 5. That's a lot of units. And then, boom, store's out. I'm like, wait.
What just happened?
And that was before the snow. So I haven't checked on Slush Buster sales yet today.
So can I tell you how big of a nerd I am with this thing? So we got the snow, Tuesday. So my bride gets up early for work every morning. She's usually out the door by 5:30 to 5:45 every morning.
She's got to go make you some money.
She's got to go make the bread.
Yeah.
And so when she gets up, it's the old kiss goodbye. All right, see you, love you too. And then she heads out. And what I normally do, especially this time of the year, is I'll pull my vehicle inside the garage so that way it's warm for when I have to take the boys to school in the morning, right? Well, I pull in, shut the garage door, and my garage is heated.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, yeah.
I'm going to slush bust some stuff. Nice.
It's not even 6 a.m. And I'm in there,
Yeah.
and I'm doing that. I'm like, this is so freaking cool. And then, of course, I went, uh-oh. And my entire garage floor.
You need a good squeegee then to get out of there.
That's exactly what happened. So then when I took the boys to school, I came back, and by the time I'd come back, basically everything had melted. So then I squeegeed everything out of my garage door.
Couple problems with your story.
I'm a nerd.
No. One, do you actually wake up your wife and do you say goodbye, or does she say goodbye to you before she leaves?
Yes.
Good for you. Because when I leave in the morning and if my wife's not awake, I try to be as quiet as possible because I don't want the dog to get up because then that means I have to take out the dog. So I try to be as quiet as possible. I don't say a word to her. I don't even know, to tell you the truth, if she knows whether I'm there or not. Anyways. So I never say a word. And two, you live in one of those big mega mansion houses in those southern suburbs.
Yeah, no question.
You have to have more than one car spot in your garage.
Oh, I have a 3-car garage.
What, you got a bunch of crap in there? You got grills and kids' toys and stuff, so you have to park? Are you kidding me?
We have a 3-car garage and room. Well, honestly,
you're an organized guy.
I am very organized, but if it wasn't for her, like let's just say I lived there by myself, I probably wouldn't park in the garage because I like the space.
Okay.
But so the one spot is where she parks because she absolutely hates the winter.
Yeah,
if she had
just
never met
leaving early
me,
in the
she
morning.
would live in California or Florida. There's no question about it. But so the other spot is basically the area where all of our stuff is. It's a very organized section.
Okay.
It's not a disaster by any means, but it's just that's where all of our stuff is.
And then when you're
winter.
hanging out in the garage, it gives you some space.
Correct.
Okay, I get it now. That makes more sense because those were two stories that I thought weren't congruent. They didn't make sense that you're kissing your wife every morning. That seems impossible. It seems impossible, right? I at no point in time, if my wife left before me, would she go give me a smooch on the lips and say, see ya.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to have it. She's a loving woman. She just wouldn't care to kiss my lips.
No.
Probably. She hates me.
So
she hates me so much.
Speaking of that.
Yeah, kissing my lips. Okay.
I don't know which story I want to transition to from that because I should be probably pretty careful here. Are you aware of the Good Morning America controversy?
Mm-mm.
Not at all. And you're kind of a pop culture guy, but to a certain extent.
Is this the guy who's now dating the girl?
Yes.
Okay, I vaguely know a little bit about it.
Normally I couldn't possibly care less about stories like this. In fact, at a time I worked at a radio station that would have been all over stuff like this, I would pretty much roll my eyes because I don't care.
Yeah.
But I found it fascinating only because of the reaction from the network itself.
Oh, what'd they say?
Well, okay, so for those that aren't familiar, Good Morning America is a show it's ABC, right? Aren't they an ABC station?
It's the one that's called Good Morning America.
Thank you. Amy Robach and TJ Holmes are anchors on the Good Morning America crew because there's about 73 people that are on all of these national talking head shows. Well, apparently they began a romantic affair back in March.
Okay.
And I thought I read online somewhere that they were training for the New York City Marathon together. Oh. And then that's what kind of sparked the relationship. Oh. The only issue was they were both married to other people at the time. And then, so anyway. Well, when this bombshell, when it first broke a couple of days ago, Good Morning America pulled them off the air.
Oh, okay.
But then today they were back on the air.
Yeah.
To which I'm thinking, okay, hold up. Wait a minute. Something's not right here. if you were so offended, or maybe that was just company policy, I have no idea. But I just thought that part of it, the reaction from the network, I thought was the most interesting part.
What do you do if you're like, 'cause let's pretend they're top talented people.
Sure.
Right? And you're like, uh-oh. And maybe someone knew that they were inappropriately kind of around each other, so you had an idea, but you didn't know for sure. But if I'm not mistaken, I read something, again, this is not gossip, and it's not gold that I'm giving you, but he was telling his wife, the gentleman was saying, I'm not a very good guy. You should probably divorce me. Like, he was prepping her for this news to come out, like trying to get her to leave him. And I thought, oh, you crafty little guy to do that. So, yeah, they're a good looking couple. Good for them. They're runners.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, you're getting all hot, sweaty running together, and it just kind of moves to the next level. What was I doing? I was talking to my wife, and she was talking about someone she knows went to some guy's house, and it was this kind of convoluted story. And I said to her, I would never do that. It was kind of like me going to her best friend's house without her. I said, it's never going to happen.
Oh, gotcha.
I would never go to my wife's best friend's house without her.
No.
Like, to go out and hang out and party. And I'm like, no, that's never would happen.
No.
I just won't do it. It just is nothing. And I like her friend. Sure, right?
It's just one of those things you just don't do.
You just don't do.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, you have girlfriends? I'm like, I do. Name one. Name one that I would. And I would never like go out with a gal just to have lunch and just say to my wife, yeah, no, Jenny and I went out. Well, never would happen.
And the other part of this, the female host, she's Robach, is that she was, I guess, married to the guy from Melrose Place. Did you watch the show?
I did. Which one? Which guy?
What was his name? Andrew Shue.
Andrew Shue. Oh,
if you saw his face, you would recognize him in a second.
Yep.
And that's the other part of that. Well, that's kind of interesting. That
she had Melrose Place money, and now she's going to this other guy. Wow.
Remember Melrose Place?
Yeah,
that was like the first, because it came out when I think I was a teenager when it first came out, and that was this is going to be a great episode tonight.
This is amazing. Remember when shows came out once a week and you had to wait?
And we'd have the tension would build over what's going to happen. Because what's her name? Crazy Pants was on that show. Sarah, I almost said Sarah McLachlan. No, what the heck's her name? TJ Hooker. Why can't I think of her name?
I don't know.
Heather Locklear.
Heather Locklear.
It
wasn't Sarah
was on that show. Yeah. Not Sarah McLachlan.
No,
Heather Locklear.
No. She's not doing a thing for dying dogs.
Anywho.
Well, God, we're really going deep. We reminisce about some good stuff.
And I completely derailed the show, so I apologize for that.
Don't you have a nickname for that now?
What?
For derailing the show? Didn't you get one from the staff at...
People hate me, so they give me nicknames all the time.
I thought it was the staff that did it.
No, it was an emailer.
The people that knew you the best.
I think it was the emailer.
Okay.
Well, Joe wanted me to play the car crash sounder. And now I remember what I was going to ask you. So... I spent a couple of days in the great state of Florida over the Thanksgiving week.
Please tell me you flew down there.
I did.
Okay, thank goodness. I was like, what is going on? Okay.
So, and I'm only bringing this up because I know that you have a personal connection to the state of Florida.
Yes.
And you love it there.
Do.
And it's been a while since I've been to Florida. Been a couple of years.
Okay.
And I did a little bit of driving, not Reuvers style driving, but just a tiny bit of driving. And there were two things that stood out to me. Number one, you cannot drive, and this was in the Orlando, Tampa area, for the most part. You cannot drive for 5 seconds without seeing some type of residential construction.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's a condominium building, a nice, gigantic housing development. I'm not kidding when I say you are not on a highway or a freeway for 5 minutes without seeing another one.
And that's in the middle of the state, right? That's not even talking about the stuff on the ocean.
And this isn't, repairing from hurricane damage.
No, this is just new
completely brand new construction to the point where I did go to the Tampa Bay Lightning game a week ago last Tuesday. So the Tuesday night Tampa was playing, I think it was Boston, and I thought, I'll see if I can find a cheap ticket because I just went by myself because that's just what I do.
Okay, you went to the game by yourself or to Florida by yourself?
No, to the game by myself.
Okay. Did you bring your family to Florida?
Yeah, it was great.
All right, just making sure.
So I went to the game and I had never been to the Tampa Bay Arena before, but it's in downtown. It's in a neat little area, and there was another where I had parked, it was and I parked a little bit from the arena, but where I had parked was next to one of these condo developments.
Okay.
In which the framework was up. I would say it was probably a 15-story building, 20-story building. And I would say it was probably 60% complete.
Okay.
And I was just BSing with the guy that I was giving the money to pay for parking. I said, wow, they're building a lot of, he goes, oh, it's crazy. He said, see this here? I go, yeah. He goes, all of these are already sold. I go, what?
Yeah.
And I'll go, how many units is it? He goes, I don't know, probably a couple, maybe 1,000. I have no idea. And I thought, oh my God, that's insane.
And they all start at $899 plus.
Are they really?
I mean, they're crazy expensive.
Wow.
Right? Everything's crazy expensive down there.
But that was just, I found that shocking that you literally can't drive 5 minutes without seeing some type of construction.
Well, maybe
going
if they're
on
rentals, do you think they do the same thing that like St. Paul does where they won't let the developer increase the rent more than a few percent?
Because that seems super smart to do.
Because that seemed like super smart. I mean, they'll let new developers do it, right? Because they want new development. But anybody that owned a building before, you can't do that on your old building. Just the new people that are still funneling money to you.
Well, and that's why let's not skirt around the issue. Yeah. The reason people are flooding to Florida is because of government.
Yeah, freedom. Yeah,
and that's exactly. And you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's not, it's noticeable when you're there.
I'm trying to figure out what the next Florida is because Florida
I thought
sometimes,
it might be Arizona, but that's obviously
no, it's not going to be Arizona.
No.
And so Florida gets very busy where all of a sudden you realize like, I don't want to be on this road anymore. I'm not doing this. Traffic gets insanely busy.
Yeah.
And it just becomes, this isn't that fun, right? And so now I'm trying to find what the next Florida would be. Where's the next spot? And I don't want to go to like Tallahassee, Florida. Like I want to be in someplace warm. I don't know. I don't know if there's any place like that. And I don't know where it would be. Maybe listeners have a good idea. And it doesn't need to be incredibly hot, but I also don't want snow on January 3rd.
Right.
Right. And sometimes, Alabama gets snow.
Well, and even when, it was leaving here, it was the daytime high, I think was going to be 15. Mm-hmm. And then you get to where it was raining, but it was still 60 something. And you're thinking, oh yeah, this is why they do that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
it's just
that
different.
now.
And oh wow, it smells moist and fresh and green. There's green everywhere instead of brown.
Although, but I don't mind the fact that I don't have to worry about a crocodile ending up in my backyard. That I'm cool with.
Yeah, that's true. But this white gold that we had,
is it alligators or crocodiles?
Alligators.
Alligators. Okay.
This white gold that we had on Tuesday, right, where I'm just sitting in my office, just staring at it because we know we just are going to get busy. People have to buy smelt; they just have to buy shovels, and and we do a really good job staying in that stuff, like maybe better than just about anybody in the Twin Cities.
Yep.
And it was. I just said to myself, I really, really enjoy the snow. I just don't like the cold anymore, right? I've become that guy who doesn't warm up anymore. But the snow, I think, is beautiful. And I think I don't mind shoveling and I don't mind plowing the stuff around and doing stuff outside. And it looks pretty for a while. It's the cold. If you could just go out of town from like December 26th till April 1st. Right? I mean, that's what a lot of people do. I think that would be a really nice run just to be out of town for that time period.
And the thing that as I'm getting older too, the cold, it's starting to bug me a little bit, but honestly, and it's my own fault, and I get that. The thing I hate the most about, like for instance on Tuesday, is how freaking long now it takes to get from point A to point B. Yeah. And again, I chose my commute. Yeah. So I get that. That's my own personal choice. But then even just to drive to the grocery store and get back, it's like, this shouldn't take me 20 freaking minutes just to get to the grocery store. It's 4 miles away. Let's go here.
And let's go. And traffic's not even bad in Chanhassen or Jordan.
No, it's typically
but
not.
You do have a long run to go.
Yeah.
It's just a long run. Well, it's different. It's beautiful. We have to just accept that in Minnesota. We get the seasons.
We do.
And I am not a wilting wallflower. I can handle it.
No, you're
right?
hardy.
I did have some people come in for work today from a different town, right? They came in from Memphis.
Oh.
And so it's a couple of Southern boys. They're really, really great guys. And they looked like they were ready to fight the abominable snowman. They have got their boots on and their jackets, and they're like, it's cold up here. I'm like, well, it's sunny and 30. I mean, people might have the convertible top down if the streets were clean.
John had sent me an email. This, I believe, was last week, but we were out because of the Thanksgiving week, so we did not do a show. Did you do anything special, anything fun for Thanksgiving?
I did. My sister had a beautiful Thanksgiving at her home.
Oh, that's right. You had discussed that.
And we live like 2 miles away from each other.
Beautiful.
So I didn't have to go anywhere. And then we were supposed to go to my in-laws afterwards, and we called up and said, hey, it's getting a little late. And they're like, we're already in our pajamas. I'm like, so we just went right home, and I just relaxed. It was perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
But John sent this might not even be the latest on the saga that you are infatuated with, but I figured you had some thoughts on what is currently the latest drama involving Elon Musk, Twitter, the government, and everything else. Is there anything you're willing to share with the likes of John who desperately want your opinion on the matter?
I don't know. What do you think about the deplatforming of Twitter? Right, where the Apple, if people don't know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Reuvers.
Go ahead.
People don't
please.
know. Apple said, we have to really look in to see if Twitter should be in our app store anymore because they could be dangerous. It's like you allow Chinese TikTok, which is the FBI is saying no one should use TikTok. The FBI is saying that, and it absolutely goes against the bylaws of Apple's App Store bylaws. They won't take down TikTok, but they're threatening to take down Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I love what Musk said. He said, that's fine. I'll build my own phone. And my mind said, do it and do it fast, and I will buy that phone from you instantly. I would switch out of the current phone that I have, which I love. The product is great. Elon can make a great phone too. If he can make a Tesla, he can make a cell phone.
He'll probably hire Apple's third in command, second in whatever.
All you need to do.
What are you gonna need? Okay, you come over here
and let's do it.
And I'll just build my own damn cell phone.
And I think, and I wish that he'd just say, you know what? If you keep threatening me, I'm going to have to build my own cell phone. In fact, that's pretty smart that I just go ahead and do it now. And then all he has to do is take 7% of Apple away and have Apple say, well, that was dumb. We should have maybe not threatened somebody for just offering more free speech. Right? I get that everybody doesn't love the speech that's happening on there, but it's more free speech instead of less.
And the issues that I continue to have with this just entire saga is it becomes such a game that these people have decided that they're going to take themselves so seriously, and we're going to be the ones that are going to stand up for what we think is going to be right for the public. Well, you don't give a damn about me.
Yeah.
And you don't give a damn about, you just give a damn about covering your own ass. Mm-hmm. And you give a damn about the people that are have the interest of covering your ass because you don't care about the likes of me and the free public. So quit with that nonsense right now.
I thought it was pretty impressive when I think it was CBS that said, hey, we are going to step off of Twitter for security purposes. Uh-huh. And I thought, wow. Okay, that was putting your money where your mouth is because that's going to cost you a lot. And then 16 hours later, they said, we have had no clicks on our stories. And, they saw the ramifications of doing that and jumped right back on. And it's like, whew. It's a very, very interesting thing what this guy can do. Elizabeth Warren had a quote today where she said, no one man, or this was the last couple of days, no one man should be able to control what we're doing in the world with his voice. And it's like, no, that's not what he's doing. He's offering more free speech. Everyone should be happy about that. Everyone should be happy about that. And of course, just because that one man isn't Joe Biden, she has a problem with it.
Well,
right?
And that's the whole disingenuous nature of this entire topic is who are you kidding?
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. They're just hoping they probably don't even see their own irony. Is the problem. Yeah,
I truly believe they think that they're being completely honest, right? I don't think they're all being manipulative. I don't. Both sides. Mm-hmm. Both sides. I think people believe, in today's world, people really deeply, deeply believe. That's what they say about politics is, you always know that your side, you have your opinion and they have their opinion, and you think your opinion is 100% right, and they too think their opinion is 100% right. Not many things happen like that. You and I can argue about the Packers and the Vikings, and I can think, the Packers are great, but I still know that the Viking, you know what I mean? There's still some, I can see his point on that. Aaron Rodgers is great, whatever it is. Although Aaron Rodgers is no longer great.
It is funny to watch him, just completely fall off the planet.
You know what it was, right?
What?
The very first play of the very first game when he threw that 50-yard
against the Vikings.
Beautiful pass, and that doorknob rookie dropped it. And you could see him just look like, I'm done. I'm done. Give me my money. I'm done. That's what, if I were him, that's exactly what I would have done.
Right.
And what do you think of their, I don't know much about, is it Love?
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love, not a bad player.
No, he came in basically mop-up time to a certain extent.
Yeah,
but he performed
he looked
well.
crisp, and he looked like
To the
he
point
could be a
where
replacement.
I think he was interviewed. I'm talking about Rogers now, and he said, I want to be out there and help. I'm thinking, bro, you might want to hang back here a little bit because these guys probably want him to play. Plus, you're out of it anyway.
Yeah.
Why not sit on the sidelines, collect your check?
He's got to be done. He's got to be done for sure with the Packers this year.
And you're
right?
beat up.
You're
you
beat
got
up.
a
You're
punctured
tired.
lung.
You look like you might be a meth addict.
He does look awful.
He looks tough.
He does look
It's
awful.
something about his kind of eyes look a little beady. It's like, ugh. I wonder what happened to him. My brother-in-law is a big Packers fan. In fact, he painted his garage floor this green and yellow and, this Packer color thing. And I thought, ugh. Resale value of this house just went to nothing. Looks really cool. He's got some big stuff in there, but he said this is the worst.
Oh,
this is the worst.
I forgot to share one of the things in traveling. You see, you always make fun of me, and you're not alone because there's a lot of people in my inner circle, you being one of them, that do like to make fun of me because of my choice of travel.
Sure.
Which is I would 10 out of 10 times prefer to drive. Don't care. That's just the way I like to travel. Case in point. I was at the Orlando airport.
It's a big one.
On Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, oops.
Again. Okay.
Was that you going down or coming home?
I was coming back home.
Okay.
I was coming back home on Wednesday. And I knew that it was going to be a busy travel day. Because
you think
it's the freaking Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
The busiest travel day.
So I was prepared. I had assembled everything together. I had dropped off the rental car. I had gathered things.
Yep.
And shuttle was ready to transport to the airport. Not a problem.
Not a problem.
The only thing I did do was the Tampa Bay Lightning hat I had purchased at the game. I left on the console of the rental car. But that's my problem.
Oops. Yeah.
But you're just it's all good. So now the person at XYZ rental car company gets a new hat.
New hat.
Well, that's all good.
Paying it forward.
Exactly. So get there, get everything ready, get everybody checked in, get your boarding passes, and we're ready to go. We're in security. And I knew security was going to be a pain in the ass. Here's why I freaking hate flying. I'm not scared of flying. That's fine. Get to go to a nice warm place. It's great.
Yeah.
Here is why I absolutely hate flying. You're in security. And in front of you, you got this guy and this gal. Where I'm going to guess late 20s, early 30s. Okay? Here's why the age is important. So we get up to the conveyor, got to put all your stuff in.
Yep.
And there's the very patient TSA person reminding everyone. It's basically almost as if this TSA person is on a recorded continuous loop.
They know the thing.
Make sure your laptops and any electronic devices are outside of your backpack and in a separate bin. Not difficult.
Clear as day.
So, first of all, you got to take your shoes off. Okay, your shoes got to go in a thing. That's fine. And then this couple has the bag, their carry-on bag, okay? Then they have the backpack that they're bringing. And then they have another bag that they're bringing. And then they have the big, giant steamer trunk that they're going to bring. I'm thinking, no.
Yeah.
Check this crap.
Check some of that. Yeah.
To the point where the piece of luggage they were trying to, quote-unquote, carry on wasn't fitting through the damn x-ray machine.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking, bro, there's 700 people in
let's
line, and it's
move
being
on.
held up because you're a dumbass.
Yeah.
And this is what. So to the point where the woman behind me, who was traveling by herself, trying to get home, she's saying, I'm going to miss my. I had started to just converse with her because we were all laughing at this idiot. And she said, I'm going to miss him because we were literally in line for over 2 hours, the security line. Oh, yeah, it was bad.
Oh, no.
Well, maybe like an hour and a half.
Okay.
Maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah,
but it was bad. It was to the point where she said, I'm going to miss my flight. So I gladly let her go ahead of me because she literally had a backpack.
Yeah.
I said, you can go ahead of us. That's fine. We got plenty of time. And I thought, I hate being at the mercy of other people, especially when other people are stupid.
Well, there are some things that you can do to improve your speed. You could become TSA pre-check.
But I don't fly enough to do that.
I know, but you can do it. I mean, there are some things you can do to speed things up.
Isn't it a couple $100 a year?
It depends on how you get it. I don't think it's that expensive, but depending on what credit card you have, you can get it free and so on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's some ways around it. So I have this app called Flighty on my phone, and it gives you all of the information. It tells you where the exact plane you're flying is coming in from 4 flights ahead of time. Like 2 days before, it's in Guam, and then it goes.
Cool.
It is so cool. So I'm watching my daughter come Flighty. And I'm watching my daughter come home from Miami the other day.
I wonder if Apple's going to kick them off.
For free flight speech. And so I had to pick her up because we had her volleyball banquet at DeGidio's in St. Paul. Nice. So I was picking her up at 5 o'clock, and then the banquet started at 6. And I wanted to make sure. So I'm watching her plane come in, and you see the little, like when you're on the plane, you see where the plane is on the earth. Well, you can go all the way down where it looks like it's going 500 miles per hour across the land. I mean, it's really, really cool.
Wow.
So I said, okay, honey, they're just about to land. I'm telling my wife they're just about to land. And all of a sudden I see it land, and then I was like, oh, they must have something's wrong, because you kind of see it angle. And
that would give me an anxiety
attack.
attack.
And I'm like, well, that's weird. So I get a text from her instantaneously, and she goes, I don't know if we've just been hijacked, but we touched the ground and took right back off. And I could see it on my app.
Did she seriously think that they had been hijacked?
She didn't know, right? She's young, right? She didn't know. And I said, oh, honey, that's just called a touch and go. I think it's called touch and go. The pilot will tell you what happened in a fraction of a second. Just wait. And sure enough, right then, he hops on and says, there was some traffic, some unexplained traffic on the landing strip, so we had to pull up. And so it was nothing. It was a pretty common thing to have happen. Not common, but it's happened to me before. It can happen.
It's not rare.
It's not rare.
Yeah.
It's not meaning something totally horrible is happening, but it does mean that something was on the runway that, maybe another plane crossed or something. And it was just so weird that on that app, I could see the plane, not necessarily touch down, but it looks like it's slowing down, and all of a sudden, wait, why is it climbing? And it did a touch and go. And the app, you could see it, and then it said, it was going to be 11 minutes early, then 6 minutes early, 5 minutes early, and it's telling me exactly how they're coming back around. It is so cool. The moment she officially landed, my thing says, "Oop, she's landed." It tells me that she's landed. The app from Delta doesn't do that. Flighty actually has information before that. It makes travel a little less crazy because all the data's in your hand. Right? You see, my plane is here. My plane just left Minneapolis. It's really cool. So Flighty, give it a try, everybody.
Can I tell you another reason that I don't like to fly?
Yeah.
If I'm on a plane and it's descending and I can see the ground and we touch down and that sumbitch takes off again, I'm going to go nuclear.
Why?
Because get this crap can on the ground and get my rear end into that.
What you have to do is, I think one thing people that are kind of freaked about flying is you look at the flight attendants and you say, is that the world's biggest hero, or is that somebody who's a flight attendant? And you think, if this was such a precarious job where they thought they were going to die every third flight, I don't think they do it anymore. Right? I think they'd say, you know what, this seems too dangerous. I'm not going to do this.
Well, and I've heard so many stories both on the show and off the show from Rook to know that these people are the salt of the earth for what they have to deal with. I mean, I've begged Rookie to do an airport podcast.
Oh, really?
But I get why he doesn't want to.
I can't really do that.
Because you don't want to incriminate people that are, using your company, which I completely respect and understand. But some of the stuff he tells me is just baffling.
He'd be great at that job, right? Just being he's a de-escalator.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's basically what he does.
He's got a nice smile on his face. What can we do for you? Let me cure this problem for you.
Well, no, he said this on the air. He had to remove some rowdy passengers from a flight from here to, I believe he said, Nashville.
Ooh, wow.
And without going into specifics of it, I'm thinking, and this was, I believe, a few couples that were traveling together for some, I don't know if it was whatever it was. And one of the females was a little tipsy and got a little loose with the lips and said, "Hey, you got to get off." And what? It's like, no, we've asked you 100 times to be quiet and you're not listening, so let's
go.
And then of course, we're so sorry. No, it's too late.
Too late. The moment I tell you got to go, period.
Right. And it's now, well, I'm not I'm not your problem anymore. Now it's marshals and law enforcement. That's your problem now. That's not me anymore. So
I would hate to be on a plane where they're dragging somebody off.
I've been on one.
Have you?
Here's the problem too, is what that person doesn't realize, the person being removed from the flight, is you don't have a beef with Mr. or Mrs. flight attendant or Mr. and Mrs. rookie that's working for the airport. Everyone on that plane freaking hates you.
Yep,
so get your ass out of the seat.
Get moving.
Boy, I've said that word a lot on the show. I'm sorry. But that's the thing I don't, in most cases, those people are they're intoxicated.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is no one on this plane is rooting for you.
Yes.
We all want you off this
We
flight.
want you up and out.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen the very famous one where the older couple sits next to the guy who has a MAGA hat on. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, no.
Oh, my. Reuvers. This woman who's a prematurely gray-haired woman, she is, honest to God, you have to look it up. She's like, how dare you? You know he's going to kill us all. And he's sitting there deadpan, not saying a word. And she is looking at him like she would murder him, demanding that he move. Mm-hmm. And the people come in they're like, not only is he not going to move, but you're not going to be on this plane. And the husband, who is just a beta male, says, if she promises to be quiet, would it be okay? And he's like, nope, get up.
Wow.
I'm going to my husband's mother's funeral. Don't you have any compassion? And like, nope, get up. It is unbelievable, Reuvers. You got to watch. That would be a great one to put on GL.
Next time I'm on a flight, I'll pop it on.
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Reuvers.
Please do
you
us
are
a
the
favor.
best, by the way. I totally screwed that up. Thank you, Reuvers. You are the best.
Thank you, Michael. Please do us a favor. Rate and review the show. Wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble, we would truly appreciate that. His name is Mike Fredoloni. My name is Chris Reuvers. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, everyone, cheers.